Hey everyone, this is Andre. Today I'm just going to be showing you how to use the repository pattern with Entity Framework Core. So really, in order to get started with this video, you're going to want to go back and watch my first tutorial right here, Entity Framework Core with Postgres SQL, because I've implemented a lot of what I've done in this video into my project currently, so we can get started with just implementing the actual repository pattern. So if you want to be able to follow along a little bit more easily, you'll want to watch this video first, or at least get kind of familiar with how you set it up, unless you're already familiar with it, and that works too. Just a quick overview of the tools I'm going to be using: .NET Core SDK, Visual Studio Code, Postgres SQL, and pgAdmin, and then Postman. Alright, so we can go ahead and get started. So just jumping right in, like I said, I already have my model made, my context made, and all of that. So now we're going to start right where I would go after this portion to start the repository pattern. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to collapse those. I'm going to add two new folders. First one's called Interfaces. Second one, Implementations. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add an interface to this Interfaces folder. We're going to call it iRepository. Alright, so this is where we're going to implement all of our basic CRUD functionality that we're actually going to use DB context in the background to do the CRUD functionality. So this just abstracts the DB context away from your controller. So it just provides that nice layer of abstraction. So this is going to be a generic interface of type T. So where T is class. Okay. So let's go ahead and start adding some methods. So the first one we're going to add is add T entity. Okay. Then we'll do a get one entity. So call that get by ID. And then we'll just need to import that using statement. Then we'll do a list. Okay. We just need to import the using for that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and remove. Do save. And last we'll do update. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our implementation file for this. So in implementations, do a new C# class. Call it repository. So this is going to be generic, and it's also going to implement iRepository. Again, we have to add where T is class. Okay. So use IntelliSense to import the using statement for that. Okay, and then we got to implement the interface. So we'll get all of our methods that we defined in that contract. Okay, so before we can use any of these methods, we're going to need to inject our database context. So we'll create a read-only field. And then we'll have our to-do app context. And then we'll use IntelliSense to grab the using statement for that so we can reference it. Okay, so now we can start using our context. Oh, actually we can't. We need a constructor first because we actually have to inject this into our class. Okay, so to do app context. do the expression body right here. Just make it look a little bit cleaner. Okay, now we can utilize our context. So context.set our type, then add our entity. So this is just so it can find the right dbset collection to add our entity to, or else it wouldn't know what you're trying to add in the framework. Okay, that adds down, so now we're going to return a collection. So context.set t to list. Okay. Just import that link, system.link. Okay. I'll return. Oh, we need to remove. Oh, skipped one. So return context.set. Find, we pass it our ID, it's the key, looks for the primary key. Expression body on that one. Okay, remove, so context.set. Actually, for this one, we're going to have to do something a little different. So we're going to var type equals context.set t.find ID. So we're going to go find our entity, and then we're going to do context.remove entity, or type, I should say. Okay, I'll leave this one like this since there's more than one line. And this one's easy. Okay. So now this one is just context set dot attach entity. So this is just now tracking our updates to this entity so that we can later save the updates and override the other properties on that entity in the database, and then we can throw this one into an expression body. Okay, so now we're done with our generic implementation of our repository. So now we're going to go ahead and create the actual model repository. So create an interface first, so we'll call this I2D repository. Alright, and just remember this needs to implement my repository, type to do. Okay, I'm just going to import the using. So in here you could actually define additional methods for more specific functionality to this model, this domain model. We don't have any, we're just going to use all of the methods inherited from the base repository class. So we'll just keep that as it is. So we're going to go ahead and add our to-do repository class to our implementations. Okay, so this is going to inherit from repository of type to do. Import that using statement, and we're also going to implement our I2D repository. Okay. So this is just going to generate our base constructor, because we need to call that. We'd be using the context in the base class to access our database with the entity framework if we had more specific methods that we implemented from our i2do repository, but we don't, so we'll just leave it just like this. Alright, so now we need to go into the startup file and we need to register our dependencies so they can later be injected into our classes. So back in our startup file, just like how we injected our database context in the previous video, we're going to do something similar with our interfaces. So add scoped. So for the iRepository and repository, it's just a little bit different since they are generic. So you're going to actually have to do it like this, type of, and then you do iRepository, and then type of repository. Okay, and there's that one. Get rid of that. Okay, now we need to do our to-do and i2do repository. So this one's going to be a little bit different. So we'll do i2do repository there, and then to-do repository there. Okay, so those are ready to be injected in whatever class we need them. Okay, I actually named my implementations folder incorrectly, so there we go. I think that's good. Now this is like, what's going on? Implementations. Everything's freaking out. Okay, there we go. All fixed. Okay. So now we're ready to start using our to-do repository to do some CRUD operations. So we're going to hop over to our controller. So you want to create a new controller called to-do controller. I've already got one here. So first thing you're going to do is create a constructor, and you just take the class name, put it right there, delete that, and now we're going to create a private read-only field of our newly created repository interface. Okay, call that to do. Okay, let's throw that into the constructor. Oh, that was right. Okay, now we need to assign our private read-only field. Okay, generate a expression body for the constructor. Okay, let's create some methods. So I'll create all of the CRUD functionality right in here really quick, and then we'll go ahead and test that with Postman, and then we should be good. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. We'll first have a get. Okay. Actually, this first one will be get by ID. Okay, get to do. Okay, that's what that's going to look like. And we're going to return OK with our to do. Next one's going to be getting a list. So get to do's plural. Okay, no parameters on this one. Could just actually simplify this. Actually, we'll need an OK first. Okay. There's that. We could use an expression body if we want. Okay, next we'll add a to-do. Okay, so normally I would pass like a request body in here, but for the sake of this test, we're just going to create a new to-do right inside of the method here. Okay, we'll give it and we'll give it a title. Do laundry. Okay, then we will come down and we'll do to-do repository.add, pass in our to-do, and to-do repository.save. And then if we get that far, we can return created a new to-do. Okay, let's go ahead and now delete. Okay, gotta add the ID in here. So with this one, we can just call remove and then save. And then we'll return OK. Removed to do. Right, and then we have update. So normally I would pass another request body with the ID inside of the request body, and then grab the to-do and then update it. But this one will be kind of like the post. We will just actually pass an ID. And we'll grab it, and then we'll update it, and we'll save it. we'll call the update and then the save. And then we'll return OK. Okay. So there's all of our basic CRUD functionality. So now we can go ahead and test this and see if it works. Like I said, I already have the database all set up. Kind of did that in the first tutorial in the other video. So it's all ready to go. So now we just need to hit these endpoints and see what we get. So let's go ahead and save everything and debug this guy. Let's put some breakpoints in beforehand. Did I pass one? Yeah, I scroll too fast sometimes. Okay, let's give it a go. So there aren't any to-dos there yet, so we'll probably have to add some. I'm going to hop over in Postman. Got it right here. I'll probably get the URL. Okay, so API / to-do. Let's change this to post. Let's hit that endpoint. Okay, didn't mean to put one right there, but okay. Looks like that worked. Let's check our database and see what we have. Okay, look, there it is. Shrink this a little bit. Oh, there it is. Let's create another one. Okay, there's a second one. Okay, let's get some to-dos. Test the get now. Boom, there are two to-do items. Let's get one. Let's just grab this guy right here. Okay, just continued through the whole thing, and there's the one. Okay, let's update this same one to mow the lawn instead or something like that. Oh, actually, it's not mow the lawn, it's going to be what we threw in here. This one right here, but let's try it out. Step through it, so we get that to do, that same one. Oh, you can see it right there. Yep, see? Okay, we're changing the properties. We're going to update, we're going to save. Okay, it says updated it to do, so let's go look in the database. Okay. So look, this is the one we updated right here. We still have hello laundry, do more laundry. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete this one right here. This first one that we didn't change. So we'll change this to delete. Okay, let's go ahead and test that out. So remove, save, So as we removed a to-do, let's go check the database. And boom. We just have that one that we updated. Okay, so there's my implementation of the repository pattern. Obviously, you can do a whole lot with the whole dependency injection built into .NET Core. It's pretty cool. So if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment in the comment section. And thanks for watching, guys.